So that's exactly the kind of planning and foresight you'd expect from just a YOLO, we'll do a live build. Hello and welcome to my first ever, build video. Haven't quite decided on a format, so for the moment I'm gonna borrow from other channels I quite enjoy. Today we're gonna undertake a veritable milestone, rite of passage, in the home lab / NAS build world. We're going to cram all of this, well, not that, because there's only room for 5 and this one's old, so not this, but all of this, which is 5 drives, power supply, motherboard, CPU, HBA, some hard drives, 10 gig LAN, into this. Okay, this. A Jonsbo N1. If you've watched a few of these, you've likely seen this thing. It has room for not a ton, but it has 5 hot swap SATA bays, and these are the ones we're interested in. I'm building a backup storage server to safely store a second copy of my Plex library and some other stuff, and we'll actually be using the drives I just pulled out of my Unraid server, and we'll eventually put Proxmox and Unraid on this thing. That'll be a follow-up video. Today we're just going to tackle the build, first boot, go from there. Okay, if Linus has taught me anything, I need 2 things to start with. I need my motherboard. We're going with an A510 from Gigabyte. This will be my, one sec, let me open this. This will be my first AMD build, so what could possibly go wrong? Let's dive right in. Oh, the other thing I need, according to Linus, rusty trusty LTT screwdriver, lttstore.com. We'll start with CPU, I suppose. This is a 5000 series. I think it's 8 cores, 16 threads. It's a 5600G, G for the graphics, because I'm not going to have room for a graphics card on this thing. Let's get this thing plonked in. We'll treat this with all the care and respect that all my other builds have gotten. So, you know, should get exciting. Easy breezy. And for now, at least, assuming it'll even fit in the case, the plan is to run the stock cooler, because I'm not planning to run this super hard. I am confused right off the bat by this mounting hardware because it does not match with the fan. The holes line up, but that's about where it ends. So I suspect, and you're coming with me on this adventure because we're going to find out together, I suspect these have to come out for this to work. Oh, look at that ratchet action. So good. Okay, that lets that plate drop free, which is probably not what I want. Hopefully, these look like the same threads. Hopefully we can just plonk this down and keep trucking. Let's find out. What could possibly go wrong? Well, they certainly do line up. And we're clearing all the other components. Oh yeah, that sounds like it's great. Totally not worried at all. Okay, that side sounded markedly better, so let's try this one again. Give that a bit of an adjustment. flip this around and actually look at what I'm doing. I think I got it. There's that. There's that. And one more for safety. And there we are. That's it. Works for me. Plug in the CPU fan while we're here. Right. Pow. We'll cable manage this later. This is a 6-port HBA that'll let us provide enough SATA ports for the 5-disk array. And then the plan is to run the OS drive, which I'll put Proxmox on, off the board. We will see how that works out.
A few moments later.
Lemon squeezy. There we go. Next. I guess next it's time to mount this thing. Wow, look at that quality sheet metal. Oh yeah, like a glove. Beauty. Alrighty. Let's slap this thing into here. Probably, you know what, let's take this bar off, that'll help a bit. Plonk that thing in here. Make sure none of our tabs are interfering with anything in the back. Ta-da! Wow, it's not even a good cutout. There we are. I did not grab screws for this. Let me go find those. Let's see what old Jonsbo gave us. Jonsbo gave us a nice empty box. This looks like mounting hardware for all the drives. We'll get to that in a minute. This is a little extender for the power supply. If this is anything like the X1, the power supply sits away from the back of the case and you need that to actually plug the thing in. And in here, just dump it all out. What could possibly go wrong? We have zip ties for potential cable management, but that might be giving me too much credit. We have feet if we want to set this thing on its back, which isn't the plan. SSD screws, nicely labeled. And last but not least, what looks suspiciously like motherboard mounting screws. I don't know why they gave us a dozen of them when an ITX board only allows for 4 slots, but we'll get there. Next, I suppose we'll put in power supply. That'll go on this side. And they gave us this fancy adapter cable, but I don't think we need it for this build. I think that's much more for the X1. Power supply, best one I found was Fantex. It's 80 plus gold, probably massive overkill for what I'm doing, but oh well. Let's unmanage the onboard wiring first. Get that out the way. Get all the front face plugs and whatnot pulled out of the way. Come on now. Come on. You want to. There we go. Okay. Let's get this thing plugged in. Presumably fan facing out. That seems like it makes sense. Yep. That lets all the holes line up. Does it? It does. There we are. There is an adapter plate that comes with this power supply, but it looks like we don't need it. Although, there we go, slightly off. don't even need to bust out the hammer. This is great. Easiest build I've done in a while. One more for safety, because there's a spot for it, so why not? Alrighty, now, before I get any further into this, let's clean up these screws. Put them back in the baggie, I guess. Along with the useless paper washers. And let's not make it look at that mess. Alrighty, let's get some preemptive cable management done. Let's see, this will be front plate. This will be front USB. No, this is front audio. This is all the power, and this then is front fan. Actually torn on the fan. I might throw a Noctua in here depending on how noisy this thing is. But for now, let's go with it. Okay, this one too has a ton more wire if we need it. But I don't think we should. We'll run all of... You know what? Since we're here... Oh my, this is all off angle. Since we're here and we have access, let's wire this backplane. We need 2 Molex adapters. I'll see what's in the power box or in the power cables for that. But the ones I want to get done are the 5 SATA ports. So, ideally you'd have... Well, actually, in my case, it doesn't make sense. We have 5 right angle cables, like so. I'm just gonna dig them out real quick. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we'll set one straight one aside for the OS disk. Alrighty, let's try this. Cram these in here in a way that makes sense. We'll start back here. You know, the more I look at this, the more I'm not sure that right angle ones are what you want. Certainly for this one, this feels not ideal. Let's see how these go. You know what, we'll probably lose this in post anyway. No, this really doesn't feel like it's doing the right thing for me. I kind of want... Yeah, like it isn't saving me anything. And I feel like it's just going to be a pain when it comes time to plug this thing together. Okay, there's that, and one more. Ta-da. Yeah, I don't know that I'm a fan of this approach. I'm not sure the right angle cables are a good call. But we're gonna roll with it, at least for now, so. May have screwed myself. So the thing I'm running into is that right here, I need to be able to install a my 10 gig card. So I think what's going to happen instead of what happened is, yep, change plans. There is a cavity in the back here where power cable is going to go. We'll wire everything, we'll route everything through there. And I think that'll give us a much cleaner front. And will give us enough room for card and everything, which actually I might plug in first. Oof, great first outing. Maybe I should have rehearsed this.
Much later.
Alright, after a brief intermission, we're back with a map of how this goes together. And it should actually just be... Which one of these is positive? I don't think it matters because we're just shorting across them anyway. It should actually just go like this. Yep, right. Oh, that's a little snug. Really enjoying having you guys along to watch me struggle with things I don't normally struggle with, he said, sheepishly. Alrighty, that's the LED. That's the switch. There we are. Done deal. Onward to, I guess, front panel USB. No, audio. We did USB. Promise I'm keeping this straight. Same deal. We'll route it to the back. And then to the front. And we'll come out under here. Ta-da! Great success. And audio, of course, audio plugs in way the heck back there. Let's not go under the USB header then. Let's come this way. I almost wonder if I could come around the other way, but I'm not sure there's a gap there. Let's see. Nope, no gap that way. Sad day. Alrighty, that just leaves the SATA cables. There we go. And it just wouldn't be fun if it wasn't flipped around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, in all seriousness, for wire managing on the fly, I ain't mad at this. Moving on. We have a couple more things to get in. I need to run a wire or a SATA wire for. Ooh, let's get that plugged in over here. There is a slot here for an SSD. And we're using, honestly, because it was cheap, freaking terabyte Samsung. The difference between that and the half terabyte was like $10, so I figured why not. That's an odd choice. They included 3 hard drive screws. 3. That seems weird. Alrighty. Plug that in a way that makes sense, hopefully. And there's no backing on the other side. I guess you're just meant to twang this into here. Okay, that's hard drive installed right there. We'll get the wiring for that in a sec. Actually, let's get the wiring for that while we're here. So this is going to go into SATA 0 on the board. I'm not entirely sure why I'm doing it that way, but it just feels right. 0 is the bottom left. So 0 is here. Oh. Ta-da! Run that through. Get that all out of the way of the everything. Tuck it down with everything else. And come on. Done. Okay, that is, I think, everything but power. Let's get cracking on power. In here we have motherboard power, gonna need that one. SATA power, we're gonna need one of these. Single Molex and SATA. Hopefully there's another Molex in here somewhere because we'll need that for the bridge. CPU power. More CPU power. For this board we need an 8-pin, and that's it. So one of these will do the trick. PCIe, we're not running PCIe. And another 8-pin for PCIe. However, that is a single solitary Molex, and that's not enough. That's just rude is what that is. How very forward thinking of them. So the plan then is to build this thing and pick up a splitter. And all the extra peels go aside. Alrighty, back to wiring this up. So I don't mean to alarm anyone, but there is a leftover screw, and I have no idea where that's from. So leave a comment if you know. Right, we got two here, two here, two here, we should be golden. So where's that extra screw from? Okay, like honestly, I'm not actually mad at this. Like, the only thing I don't like is the CPU power. That's a little jank. I would have liked that to have a better route. Okay, let's set that aside. And then let's get these drive sleds installed. So I think, from what I've seen, we'll just make a big mess and then go from there. We're gonna need all of them, so let's not lose any parts. From what I've seen, stay here. These probably could have done that better. Okay, we get these rubber feet, we get screws, and we get these neat handles for the top. And if I have it right, we pretty much just bolt these to the drives. One, and that's so it's not awkward. Two. And oh, there's writing on these. I gotta get these all aligned the same way, otherwise it's gonna drive me crazy. I guess. And oh boy. Just stab stuff, it'll be fine. Okay, so they do bottom out, yay. Which I guess makes sense. And then these should go in here. Like, sorry. The idea, I think, is that then these slide in on these feet. That's a little janky. But the idea is that they will then plug into the back plane like that. Yeah, okay, I'm not mad at this. I think if I tighten these screws just a little bit less, the feet will compress a little less and it'll be golden. Let's get the rest of these put together and then we'll see if it posts. There we are. All the drives are in for my own edification. All the, God, I gotta fix this lighting. All the straps point the same way, you know, so my OCD's happy. We're gonna try to fit this into the case. Okay, so if I did my job right, this should just slot right in. Let's find out. There's this internal track that is pretty easy to hit most of the time, but honestly, with 5 drives, this thing is kind of unwieldy. Let's do it this way. Set this upright. Aha! There we are. All fit together. Just needs a Molex splitter and then we're done. There it is. I think that'll do it for this one. I'll follow up on Stimuli splitters there. We'll get Proxmox on this thing and Unraid on top of that, because why not make life harder than it needs to be? Thanks. See you next time.